everyone, this is TJ. I'm with the Cougar Academy, and this is the beginning of our series on how to write an essay. Let's get to it. When we write an essay, it always begins with a prompt or an essay question. So in this case, I've presented or I've written up a typical essay question that you might see, and this is very typical for one that you might see on the GED test. So what are the qualities of a good pet owner? Use your personal experience, observations, and knowledge to support your essay. Later on this series, we actually take some time to help you to figure out what is the question that you're supposed to write on. And because some of the prompts that you get or the essay questions that you get are pretty detailed and are extensive, and you're not sure, what am I supposed to write on? But in this situation, for our first essay, I thought I would start off with a pretty simple one. Now, this is a typical one that you could get, and that would be pretty cool if you could get a pretty straightforward prompt. So in this case, the question is the qualities of a good pet owner, and that's what we're going to focus our essay on. So let's transition to our first phase, which is pre-writing. For our essay. The pre-writing stage is one of the most critical stages of essay writing because that's where you create your ideas. Like, what am I going to write on? That's what the pre-writing stage is all about. And there's people call this a couple of different things. They call it brainstorming, webbing, making a list, and we can go through various things of what those things might look like later on in the series. I like to call it brainstorming, and I'm going to show you how I do that. It's using a webbing structure. So let's transition to that. So what you see here is my brainstorming worksheet, so to speak. This could be on a piece of scratch paper when you do it. But I'll say this again, I think this is one of the most important phases of writing an essay, is coming up with some great ideas that you could really develop within your essay. So what I do is I put the main topic in the middle of my page, in this case, good pet owner, and I put a big circle around it. And then what I'll do in the areas on the outside here is I'm just going to write down various ideas of what makes a good pet owner. And sometimes I call this like throwing up on the page. So basically the rules, and let me explain what that means. So the rules of brainstorming is that there are no bad ideas. You just write everything down. One thing that this does is kind of empties your mind and frees up your creativity. The other thing that it does is oftentimes a, quote, bad idea or an idea that you're like, oh, that stinks, actually could trigger a really good idea. So we don't want to gloss over those. All ideas are important. All right, so let's get to it. Now, I think the important thing to do is to think about your own experience. So if you are a pet owner, then focus on what you do as a good pet owner. So in my situation, I have a dog. So when I'm going to do this exercise, I'm going to think about what I do as her pet owner. Now, if you don't have a dog, or if you don't have a pet, maybe you have a bird, you can think of your bird or your cat or whatever, your pet. But if you don't have a pet, then you might want to think about a friend who has a pet or a relative maybe, and think about what that person does. I think it really helps to be specific, to think about a specific person when creating your ideas, when coming up with them, rather than something very general or global. Sometimes that works. If that works for you, that's great. I'm just offering this one suggestion about being specific. So maybe it works for you, maybe not. Give it a try. All right, so let's get going. So I know I got to feed her every day, and I have to water her. So I got to make sure that there's water in her bowl. Let's see. I also have to take her for a walk, or really I'd like to say a run every day, because she's a Labrador and she really needs to get her exercise out. Otherwise she gets unruly and spazzy and disrespectful and things like that. So that's really important there. Let's see, what are some other things I got to do? I got to clean her teeth. Make sure her teeth are clean. I have to clip her nails. I hate doing that. But as a good pet owner, that's what good pet owners do. Let's see what else. Oh, I need to take her to the vet, usually just about once a year, so she can get her shots and make sure that she's in good physical health. Let's see, what else do I have to do? Well, she's a Labrador, so she loves her loves. So I have to pet her every day. Maybe I give her some rubs. You know, she loves her belly rubbed, her ears. She digs that. So, you know, pets need affection, right? Just like people do. Okay, so I can't think of anything else. I spelled clean wrong. Here we go. So this is a good point that I want to bring out, is that it seems like I've kind of run out of ideas. And this is going to happen. And so what you want to do is go back to the main question: what are the qualities of a good pet owner? And let that kind of mull around in your brain a little bit and see if it'll trigger anything else. What are the good qualities? What are the qualities of a good pet owner? Well, I need to play with her. Socialization is good. So socialize. She likes to hang out, hang with other dogs. Hang with other dogs. Okay, I think that's about it. Yeah, so I'm looking around and I'm thinking, I think I have enough, because I need to have 3 main ideas. And remember, this goes back to our essay outline, that we present 3 main ideas in our introduction, and then each of our middle paragraphs will be about one of those main ideas. And we'll learn this a little bit later, but in each of those middle paragraphs, I think a good strategy is to tell a story. So as I look at these things, I'm going to basically look at, can I write about them easily? Can I tell a story about them pretty easily that illustrates my point? My point of what? That whatever I'm talking about is a quality of a good pet owner. So this I can definitely talk about, because I have to do this every day. And as I mentioned before, if I don't, my dog is a spaz. So I'm just going to write spaz down there, one word that's going to trigger the story that I'm going to write about regarding this this idea. So notice that what I did, I circled these because I'm going to kind of put them together. You know, we go for a walk, but basically she runs, right? And we could actually look around and we could cluster them, and you can see they're kind of already clustered a little bit. Or I could actually take one of each of these ideas and write on that. And whatever works for you, that's what you're going to go with. So I like to kind of put them kind of together so that I have some choices. Vet. This is an easy one that I could write on. Because one time I had to take a trip, a several-day trip, and I didn't have anybody to come take care of my dog. So I actually had to take her to a daycare facility, a doggy daycare, so that they could take care of her for the couple of days that I was away. But I couldn't take her there unless she had verification of her shots. So there you go. I had to take her to the vet to get her shots. Now, notice what I just did. I told you a story about taking her to doggy daycare that actually showed the importance of why I needed the vet. And that story really was only about maybe 6 sentences, something like that, and that is perfect for for a middle paragraph. Because remember that your paragraphs are roughly 4 to 6 sentences. They could be longer. So in that short story I told you, that I could actually write that word for word in my essay. That's kind of the trick. That's the cool thing. Okay, so now I got to come up with one more thing I'm going to write about, and this is an easy thing right here, just about the daily care, about feeding her. And I actually have a routine that I do that helps me to remember to feed her and to make sure that her water bowl is full. So basically every time I have a meal, I feed her. well, except for lunch. So I feed her in the morning. So when I have breakfast, I feed my dog. When I have dinner in the evening, I feed her again. So we all get fed at the same time. Now notice what I just did. I told you another story, right? It's about 6 sentences, probably a little bit longer. That story I just told you was supports my main idea of feeding and watering my dog and how that makes me a good pet owner. And that's perfect for my middle paragraphs. So I really want to emphasize that the story that you could write about with your main ideas, pretend like you're telling me the short story or telling a friend. You're not going to tell a really long story, just a short one. Well, the way that you tell that story is perfect to write in your essay. That's so key to remember. I think that another key that's very helpful is to take a little note about what that story is that you're going to write about. Because as you get into your essay, you might forget, like, oh, what was that cool story I was going to write about? And if you don't write it down, if you don't write some note that's going to help you remember, then shoot, it's gone and you're going to have to come up with something else. And it may not be as good. So take a little note about what your story is going to be about. Okay, so now, just to recap, we wrote the main idea of our essay, which we got from our prompt, and we put that in a circle in the middle of our piece of paper, and then we're just brainstorming. And this is actually called webbing because you can kind of see how this is like creating a little web here. And then we, pardon the phrase, but we threw up on the page. So we just wrote ideas down all over the place. Remember, there's no bad ideas. And then we pulled back after we got quite a bit of them down there, and we looked to see, could we write on any of these and tell a story about him? And possibly we clustered some stuff together. And as we did that, we wrote a little note about the story that we're going to tell about that, that's going to constitute the body of our essay. And there we go. This is the first stage of the essay writing process. This is called the pre-writing stage, where we come up with the ideas. So our next video will be about actually writing the essay. And we will begin with the introduction. Each video will be one paragraph of our essay. So check out the next video. It'll be how to write an essay. Video 2, the introduction. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate that. If you want to be sure not to miss any of the future videos that will be posted, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, if you're not sure about the essay outline, I discussed that in a previous video, and it's also located at the website thecougaracademy.com, and I put the link down below on where you can access that outline, because we'll keep going back to the essay outline throughout this video series. That really provides a structure for how to write an essay. All right, folks, see you next time.